What's the dumbest thing a drunk friend has done? Traffic was stopped after a college basketball game, so he decided to get out of his car and chat with a cop who was there keeping an eye on the crowds leaving the arena. She arrested him for DUI. I had a friend in high school who got naked every time he got drunk. As soon as Jim was naked, we knew the party was over. Edit. His name was actually Frank. I had a friend who would always pull out his balls when he got drunk. No meat stick, just balls. Sometimes he would attempt to play the piano with one testicle. It has been about 20 years since I last hung out with him socially, but did this Halloween. Sure enough, as soon as he was wasted, he was necking back $1K bottles of wine he'd brought, which added to the weird he was all about his nuts. Still, at least he left them in his pants, but he spent the whole party chasing after me yelling tiny penis. Huge balls. I produced 2 tablespoons of semen. Every time. Above average. He also tried to convince my husband to sell me to him. This year at family Christmas at 4 PM, after a few too many beers, all the men got together for their classic Christmas photo. It seems they wanted to change things up for the photo this year because on the count of 3 they all dropped their pants. Needless to say, I would prefer to never see my uncle's hairy testicles hanging out the bottom of a Christmas shirt ever again. It got weirder though. They ended up running around the house whipping each other with belts and screaming, "Oh yeah, whip me again," until my auntie confiscated all of the belt in the house. My family is weird. Sometimes he would attempt to play the piano with one testicle. I made it past that. The whole last paragraph is what got me. Drunk friend was relieving himself in a bush. Someone tapped him on the back. He turned round, still continuing to pee, to find himself face to face with a policeman. Poor cop had pee all down his leg, but saw the funny side. I bet each cop only makes that mistake once, lol. Lol, cop shoulda known better. Not many people can cut off the stream. But every cop makes it once. I don't understand how people can't cut it off. I feel like unless my bladder is filled to the brim, I can start and stop whenever I feel. You're too powerful to be kept alive. Retrieved a beer cowsie that fell in a porta-john. Ate food out of the trash can with the Constanza excuse that it was on the top. Same friend. Are you friends with a raccoon? A guy I knew in college came to a Halloween party on roller skates and got absolutely plastered, and proceeded to roller skate up and down the stairs. This ended predictably to everyone but him, and he fell and got hurt. Due to the anesthetic effects of being super drunk, however, no one realized how badly he was hurt. He passed out in the living room, and proceeded to pee all over the floor in the middle of the N-word because he couldn't walk to the bathroom. Turns out his leg was broken in 2 places. I also just mentioned in a bad roommates thread about a girl I knew in college who stole someone's cat while drunk and hid it in our campus housing apartment. Stole someone's cat while drunk and hid it. Did the cat get returned? Any consequences? I'd be unhappy if someone stole my cat. She had the cat in our apartment until the end of the year. We didn't know it was stolen at first. She said she found it, and it was months later when we discovered that she'd found it on someone's porch. She did not take good care of the cat, so the person who watched it over the summer refused to give it back to her. We later found out she had stolen the cat from a frat house that would hotbox the poor thing, so it was kind of a frying pan fire situation for the cat. I would destroy someone if they stole my cat. I care, my cat is like my kid. I would be worried and pissed beyond all reason for rational thought. Whoa. A bunch of horrible people. Hopefully the person who refused to give it back gave it a loving and peaceful home. I just can't even imagine treating animals so shitty. My friend claims he was abducted by aliens one N-word hot on his way home from a local festival. In reality, he drank way too much Guinness, tried to ride his bicycle home up the steepest hill in town, and blacked out in the process. It was 5 years ago. We just argued about it, again, this weekend. Please start leaving him messages in random places from the aliens. Dwight, at 8 AM someone poisoned the coffee. Do not drink the coffee. More instructions will follow. That is so mean. Freaking hilarious, but mean. Dumb, but funny. Had a friend with a prosthetic leg, only he never told anyone about it who didn't already know. He always waited until a party was going well into the N-word and everyone, including himself, was plenty drunk. He'd then produce a large knife and get everyone's attention before plunging the blade into his leg. He'd then throw his head back and scream in fake pain. Oftentimes, people would scream in terror and go running out the front door. Everyone who knew him and were familiar with his antics would merely roll their eyes and ignore him. It was a funny prank, but a dumb one because sometimes the cops were called and an ambulance would show up. Cops and paramedics were never amused. And that's why you always leave a note. My great-grandpa had a fake leg I didn't know about when I was a kid. One day he was taking a nap and his prosthetic leg was on the floor. It freaked me out and I thought the old guy was just randomly falling apart. There was another time he had his teeth in a glass. You should really warn a kid about that stuff. Totally thought you were gonna say that one day he drunkenly stabbed the wrong leg. One of my favorite drunk memories was when I was probably 17 and we were drinking in a friend's basement, and as everyone was going to bed one of the people there kept complaining about how uncomfortable their blanket was. In the morning we discovered he had been using one of those big rubber bottomed rugs, like the kind you would put in a laundry room or something. He was also literally feet from a stack of blankets. Very similar story with a friend, except their blanket was a poster board. Edit till. Drunk people are bad at identifying blankets. Same, but twister mat instead of poster board. It does not provide adequate insulation. Being way too drunk to drive, his girlfriend drove after a party. He had designated parking spaces at his apartment, and when he didn't see his car, he started crying hysterically that his car was stolen. The car he was in at the time. Then he cried even harder for being dumb. It was me BTW. I'm the drunken dumbus. He punched a horse. A police horse. With the cop still on it. At Mardi Gras in New Orleans. He spent some time in jail for that one. I once met a guy in jail who yelled at a police horse and was charged with startling an officer. Not as dumb as the woman I saw go to jail for giving a police horse some of her daiquiri last Mardi Gras. After being told at least once to not do that. Sergeant. Peanut butter, NOOOO. Assaulting a police animal is the same as assaulting an officer. He was lucky the horse didn't deal with it on a personal level. I was the friend. I visited some college buddies for the weekend. After a N-word hit at the bars, we were drunkenly devouring pizza in their apartment. A Ron Popeil commercial flashed across the TV screen, advertising the latest Ronco gadget, a food dehydrator. I picked up the phone and ordered one for everyone in the room, 8 total. I even attempted to ask the nice customer sales lady on the other end out for a date. I did not get the date, but we did get our food dehydrators, and I got a $450 bill. We've never opened them. Instead, we exchange them every Christmas. Open 1. Make beef jerky. Win. Deleted. At freshman orientation, we had to stay the N-word in the dorms. I ended up sitting with a girl at breakfast who told me her roommate got up in the middle of the N-word and peed in the trash can. They had never met before that day. You gotta assert dominance. My friend, who's on one of my college's sports teams, had to throw away her equipment bag because her freshman year roommate drunkenly peed in at the N-word hut before she had to travel to a meet. Jumped off a roof onto a trampoline. This happened in high school. We were roommates. The guy entered the room heavily drunk and crashed into his bed. He woke up about half an hour later, knocked at the door from the inside 3 times and after a long pause, said, "Who's there?" Legend says he's still waiting on the answer. Oh my god, they were roommates. One of the guys a group of us were with at the bar in an upscale restaurant got carried away and, in a full voice, so all could hear, said, "A round of drinks for everyone and the room is on me." Around 35 people ordered free drinks on him. The bartender put it on his tab. But when the bill eventually came, the guy had no money, no wallet. He had left it home. So the rest of us were stuck with a hefty bill because lots of people ordered the most expensive drinks available, single malt scotch, etc. If someone offers to buy you a drink, you get the same thing you're already drinking or whatever you would buy yourself normally. Buying single malt on someone's tab just to get something expensive is rude and I don't feel bad they had to pay for it. What an ass. I gave my daughter similar advice. If someone is buying you a meal, find out what they are getting and order something at around the same price. If they order a $40 steak, it's not rude to order one yourself. If they order a $14 item, it is rude to order a $40 item. Agreed, but it was his friends who had to pick up the tab, not the 35 shats ordering single malts. It was nearly 3 months before he finally paid back what was owed, and not even a thank you for having covered his irresponsible behavior. It's amazing how many people are blithely unaware of this. When in doubt, order from the middle of the menu. Although I did once go on a lunch date where I only ordered soup or some such small plate item, and my date got offended because he took it as an implication that I thought he couldn't afford food. Bullet dodge though. I wouldn't want to date anyone who got offended that easily. Put a whole brick of cheese in the plastic still in the toaster oven, turned it on and then went to bed. Gotta have my cheese, John. Years ago, my housemate had a friend over who got so drunk that he wandered outside, forgot which house was ours and broke into the neighbor's house. Wasn't there a case a while ago where a teenager did something similar and got shot to death by the neighbors? A foreign exchange student went to the wrong house for a party on Halloween, tried to get in and was fatally shot. We were out at some bars. Friend got annoyed and started to walk home, leaving his coat, hat, gloves at the bar. This wouldn't have been a problem except it was January in Minnesota and it was -10. I am shocked he didn't get frostbite. Same friend also got blasted at a wedding we were at and hopped the fence to the zoo adjacent to the park the reception was at. He did not get attacked by any animals. He has since stopped drinking. 2 other friends decided to tag team wrestle our furniture and flipped a couch with people on it. They did the leaping high five to celebrate and one of the guys landed wrong and broke his foot. This was a week before our undergrad graduation. He had to walk across the stage on crutches. Amazingly, he didn't even know it was broken until the next day. Having a broken foot didn't stop him from leaving our house to go pee on a dorm he particularly disliked. Oh, and another friend, who is Indian, once got annoyed that he couldn't get up to the bar to order and told the guy in front of him he going to declare a jihad on the guy's family if he didn't get out of the way. My friends tend to be idiots when drunk. Told the guy in front of him he going to declare a jihad on the guy's family if he didn't get out of the way. Okay, this is hilarious though. The guy at the bar was luckily a nice dude who didn't take it seriously. Ended up hanging out with him at an after party. So what stupid drunk thing did you do last N-word at OP, in the hopes that some stories here will make you feel better about what you did? Not OP, but unfortunately I was drunk AF last N-word and in Vegas. I ended up spending $3 grand at a strip club. Was my first time in a strip club. When I realized what I did, I think I almost had a mental breakdown. Yes. Answer that. He created a Reddit account so he could ask this question. Fortunately I had just enough stash to pay for rent and all other bills due by the end of the month. With the next paycheck I should also be able to pay off all the costs of the incident. I'm just really disappointed in myself. I saved up a lot of that cash for future emergencies and to just save money for any bigger investments in the future, but I just fricked it up. At least I learned strippers are not your friend. Not a friend but some guy who used to hang around us when we were teenagers. Kept saying he could smash some wire reinforced glass window with his head. After telling him how stupid it was enough times, someone said go on then. He ran at it and rammed his head through it, and when he pulled his head back out, left half his face amongst the wire and glass. Pretty gruesome really. PSSH. Freaking showed you mate, bet you felt pretty stupid just then. My friend was woke up one morning to the doorbell. There was a delivery guy holding a massive package. Turns out he got wasted and went mad on eBay. He took it in and opened it. It was a front bumper for a Ford Focus. He didn't have a car. He's gonna build it one piece at a time. You wouldn't download a car? Oh I would. Piece by piece by piece. Dot. I was watching the PBS telethon while drunk once and bid on a live goat. Thankfully I was outbid, since I lived in an apartment with only a small patio. I just thought it would be neat to have a goat for a pet. And it didn't cost me a dime. You'll know it's me when I come through your town. Friend shat himself drunk during the N-word and decided to drunkenly throw his pants in the washer. He gets back up to retrieve the pants, still drunk, and starts pulling out all the laundry and furiously whipping it about the room to find the pants. Homecoming at my college. A cop car was driving slowly down the main street and a drunk guy thought it would be funny if he leapt out in front of the car and slammed himself on the hood like he got run over. Climbed the USS Portland shipmast in Waterfront Park and took his shirt off and spun it overhead. All during the Portland Brewers Fest. Climbed down and disappeared into the crowd. Vomited all over his sister's new car inside passenger door and seat. Did a Mickey Mouse job cleaning it up and blamed it on me. 2 weeks later, after the smell was unbearable, he went and got it professionally cleaned for $100 and then fessed up to his sister that it was him. At least he paid to have it cleaned. And admitted fault. Stood on the table at Steak and Shake, loudly declaring we were all her ducklings and the only way she would agree to leave was if we all followed Mama Duck out of the restaurant, quacking. We did. After a few beers, I'd probably follow for sheets and giggles. My best friend in college got drunk and got his pickup stuck in a construction zone where he planned on having sex with a girl, so, in his drunken stupor, he called me at 1 AM to help him get back to campus. When I got there he was, and it turned out that the girl he tried to screw was my also very drunk, and soon former, girlfriend, who was also so drunk she was glad to see me, and was oblivious to how horrible that moment was for me. Neither of them saw anything wrong, and the only reason I didn't drive off without them was that I was still 9/10ths asleep and didn't fully comprehend what they were doing. At the time, I was considering transferring to another college that specialized in my major. That event was the last straw. Had a friend that, thanks to stellar artois, would get aggressive and start fights most 10 words. The last time we were out, he was walking past some bouncers with a cone on his head. A bouncer took it off his head and told him to behave. My friend squared up to the bouncer, but the bouncer laughed it off and ignored him. We walk around the corner and friend says freaking knob, gotta knock him out. We attempt to talk him out of it, but he ignores us and storms off and pushes the wrong bouncer in the back, sending him flying. Another bouncer then unleashes 2 almighty punches to friend's face, who then proceeds to fall backwards against a metal shutter and slide down it like in a film, making a dud 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 sound. After we plead with the bouncers to not beat him up, we get him in a taxi where he starts crying because his girlfriend would be mad his lip is split open and his face will be bruised for Christmas Day at her parents' house the next day. It's been 20 years and I have not missed him. Slept next to a drunk radiator and cooked his shoulder without knowing until waking up. How did the radiator get drunk? It smelled my friend. 2 friends. They made a bet on who could swim the farthest underwater. Long story short, they both went under and did not come back up. 2 of the entourage were EMTs and another was an Olympic swimmer. If those 3 people were not there, all would have perished. So everyone was okay? Yes, thankfully. We had the right people there for sure. Otherwise, who knows? Someone I know tried to prove that he can drive a sports bike on a straight road with his eyes closed when he was extremely drunk. He drove off the road at a high speed and crashed into a giant boulder. The bike was smashed to bits and he was very badly injured. I visited him at the hospital and it looked like his body was mummified. He has a giant scar on his face from the accident. My best friend went to a party at her new boyfriend's house. Her plan was to sneak into his room before he decided to go to bed so that he could find her waiting there, sprawled out in sexy lingerie. Well, she instead got super drunk, snuck into his room and got super disoriented while trying to take her clothes off. Her boyfriend walked in on her tangled up in her clothes, on her hands and knees, puking into his shoes. Plot twist. They are married now. I ran the sink for a second to wash my hands off. We were painting. I don't even know where he got alcohol, and he said ooh, water. And proceeded to slam his face on the faucet. He's got a scar now. I know a girl who went streaking and passed out naked while drunk. Nobody saw or found her, but she could have wound up in a ton of bad situations. Jesus Christ. Where were her mates? Good question. I'm not really involved with that group anymore, but from what I remember, they were all over the place, and some of them were streaking with her but didn't go looking for her after. They aren't the best of humanity. The party begins. Drinking ensues. Devon, a young man who was built like an ogre, quickly becomes inebriated. Revelers form into various groups. Devon takes up a prone position on the couch. One of the impromptu assemblages of people decides they want to sit down. Devon proves difficult to rouse, but eventually sits up and scoots over. A conversation begins. Hang on. Devon shouts. The party goes nearly silent, save for the music. Hang on. Dot. Devon says again. The conversation resumes. After a few minutes, Devon bellows hang on. Once more. Someone finally asks Devon what he wants. What? Asks Devon. What do you want? The other person repeats. Hang on, Devon replies. Hang on. Hang on. The phrase becomes a joke. Other people start repeating hang on to each other. Oh, yeah. Devon suddenly exclaims. He then barfs all over everyone seated next to him. There are screams and some laughter as people flee. Devon lies back down on the soiled couch. Good. TLDR. Hang on. Hang on. Made me laugh out loud. Ahaha goddamn. Classic Devon. The college equivalent of Hodder. Don't know him at all but definitely classic Devon. One of my friends at a bar screamed out all his kinks and fetishes. I'm too scared to talk to him now. Love making. Missionary. Hand holding. Kissing. Cunnilingus. Aftercare. One drunk friend was making out with a girl at a party on the couch, and turned away for a moment to talk to somebody, and turned back to start kissing again only to realize he was kissing another drunk friend, also a guy, who had stuck his head in the way of the girls. Edit. Holy crap, this got over 1,000 upvotes. Thanks everybody. Met close enough starts making out with guy friend again. Capitalists gonna capitalize. He drank hand sanitizer thinking it was 99% alcohol. The label stated that it kills 99% of germs and bacteria. He misread the label. Long story short, he had to go to the hospital. I was driving as the DD and had a full car, and the friend sitting behind me thought it would be hilarious to yell deer while I'm doing 60 down a back road at 12:30 am. I swerve, looking for it, have to swerve to avoid it in the opposite lane, and our friend riding in the trunk area of my hatchback got hit with a 12-pack of soda in the head. I pull over to make sure everyone is okay, and the one behind me bolts from the car, and the one in the trunk follows him over the seat and throws a soda pack at him like a fat javelin, and hits him in the back. Good times. My friend and I were drunk and high, left him for a bit then found him talking to my dog. I know it's normal to talk to your dog but the thing was that he was also barking. I left him again then found him crying. I asked him why he was crying and he said that he lost the debate with my dog. Thanks for watching. I publish new videos every day. If you are new to the channel please subscribe.